hear the voice of reason.
Welcome to another edition of Tell It How It Is, No Filter. I think I confused you into thinking that round of applause is just for me. Did I tell you that round of applause is also for you? Because when you hear that, that means you survived another day, another week, another month, and you're able to tune in, and that alone is powerful. Let me just start there. Off record. I'm going right in, but this is off record. Your birthday, the day you were born, you get to an age where that shouldn't ever diminish in value. No matter how you climb that chart, it should remain as important as the first one. To you, even if it's you alone, the significance of when you was born should never fade for as long as you're alive. How many people will really truly celebrate that with you and mean that? Don't look at numbers. It may sound like a little bit of judgment. I won't use the word hate. But when I see people have birthdays, right, and gatherings for their birthday, I question how many people are genuine. And it's not to say that people who celebrate birthdays, that hundred, you get it. People show up in attendance, and you gotta, I don't know, for me as an overthinker, I would say, how many of these people really care? Or are they just out for a good time? But check it out. I spoke on this before. A lot of those events, who paid for it? Who paid to get the spot? Who paid for the food? Who paid for the drinks? And not in all cases is this something to look at as negative, like, oh, well, if I provide all of this, of course people are going to show up. It's almost like a wedding. When you go to a wedding, are the people there, is everybody there genuinely because of that wedding or because of the food and what's provided? So when you hold events or you put things together outside of birthday and marriage, because anything outside of that, you should be looking to gain a profit, correct? It's party promoters, etc. They do that to make money. So in those events, it doesn't matter what people's intent really is. But when it comes to your birthday and things like weddings, it should matter. But can you always tell and peep it? So you just inviting who you think is genuine, but you don't really know. Now, I got off topic a little bit. I just said that as something that I think about. But nonetheless, your birth was important, is important, will always be important as long as you're alive. So you celebrate that and hold the value of that as long as and as strong as you can. And again, it's not about numbers. Because that doesn't mean that you can show 500 people that all 500 people have your interests at heart, your best interests at heart. And I say that because I don't know if you were like me, because the younger I was, I did care about numbers. I had to grow out of that. Whenever I went to people's, I would do comparisons, and we do that, especially as men. When we go to people's parties and we see how they put it together and who show up for them. And it's not that they don't deserve that praise. It's not that type of party. I don't wish less for people because people show up for them, even if they're not genuine. You deserve a crowd. Is that crowd genuine? I used to just compare it to my crowd. And I know how I do for people. But you set yourself up when you do for people and expect, correct? So we got to grow out of that. So don't look at that. I just feel you should celebrate every time you take that lap around the sun. And do it the way you would want it to be done. And hold the value of that to self mostly. Because it really don't matter who shows up. If 1,000 people show up or nobody show up, is it still your birthday? Correct. So you treat it as such. That's it. And that's a hell of a that's it, because that wasn't even in here. Okay, we really going now. Sometimes people ghost you because they don't feel worthy. Respect the dead and move on. It's pretty simple. What bothers us is we can't get back time. It's the most expensive thing you can spend. So we would rather it not even have gone at all. So I understand why it's not easy to really move this way. The more time that you invested, the more time that you, wasted. But to be positive, you don't look at it as wasted. That was your duty, or, it was your assignment for the moment. But this is so true that when they do realize they're not worthy and they exit stage left, they still get more credit than the people who will continue to eat and milk and use the situation to their advantage for as long as they can. So these people still get credit over that. So there's levels for sure. So you should still say thank you. I don't know directly who you thank, but you should give thanks that even though they might have wasted whatever, a month, half a year, whatever it took them to realize that they're not on a level, still say thanks. Because to self, maybe, because, they realize. And some people not always going to get it right away. Some people a little slow, brain fart. It take them a minute. They think they can hang. They come in with that false pretense that they built, and they not. And you got to take accountability too, because they come in with that energy thinking they on that level. More fellas, I guess I'm going at. We get excited, especially if the looks and everything falls in line. Remember? Eyes. We use our eyes. So that plays with it. You know what I mean? And we're feeling it and we're hype, right? Oh shit, there's some shit right here, right? And then they get to that like, damn, this person is not as full of shit as I am. Because two full of shit people can last. I feel like when you full of shit, you faking the funk. And the person you doing that to is fake as well. Sorry to say, fakeness lasts. I feel like two people fronting can make it a whole lot longer than people who, one was fronting and one was dead ass. But that's a whole different dynamic to break down. I won't go there. So respect that statement and implement it whenever necessary. Sometimes people ghost you because they don't feel worried. Respect the dead and move on. Don't try to play this hero. Don't try to resurrect. Shout out to Resurrection Sunday, Easter time and all of that. That's my little shout out for that. And the moment of silence too. So you don't try to save nothing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to read the signs and know that that's not it. You know what I mean? So that's it with that. Small talk with exes. Why or why not kids, no kids? I got to be honest. Is this a debate? This ain't even a debate. Why? And it's not the why like you can. I meant, why is this even a subject? When it doesn't work out, you want me to be a little voice of reason, level this out. All right, with kids, you have to interact, right? Because y'all have kids together. But still, what's the need of the small talk, really? I mean, it's cool if things end cordially, all of that smoothness, and it's all right, we didn't have a bad breakup, so we can small talk. But why? I just don't see the going all out for that. Like if again, if you got kids and y'all are on that level of talking about the kids, you know, organizing for the kids, coming together for the kids, and that's a safe, healthy space. And there's a moment of some small talk in between those moments that happen organically because y'all was already talking, and I'm creating that scenario. But to just interact small talk wise, why? Why? That's up to you. I'm just saying, I don't think, and I don't even have nothing to do with having somebody new. I just feel like in general, why? When we move on and we have to create a new chapter and we revamp ourselves and hit the reset button, that means getting rid of certain behaviors and certain interactions, no? So why? I'm gonna give the play with the kids because you're interacting for the kids, and some other convos may creep in there that shouldn't, or I don't see why. But I won't totally be dismissive all the way. But other than that, I don't see a real reason for it. I really don't. You know, it sounds like you're holding on for something, and you might be. So, you know, not to expose whoever has these thoughts, that would be the justification for that. Sorry to say. And, you know, there's no judgment here like Planet Fitness. Free judgment zone. So if you want something back, man or woman, you know what you want, or you know what you're doing. Nobody's really oblivious. Like, oh, I didn't know. No, you know what you're doing. So if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I just meant for logical, sane people who know that this is an X for a reason. Who's that? Summer Walker and JT. I'm shouting out the heads then. Yeah, I like that song. X for a reason. You know. So if you know that that's a wrap, and you sincerely come to terms with that's a wrap, you wouldn't entertain this garbage. Sorry. Kids or no kids. Respectable interactions, yes. For the kids' sake, yes. Not small talk. You know, and I'm all for that. There's no need to really stay there. More kids. What determines a cutoff? Age, experience, or both? This is universal, so it's not really something that my word is the final say. Whoever knows me personally and knows my age range, people around this age that I'm at, I would assume we most likely think similar that that's a wrap. So age is definitely a factor in that determination. Definitely experience if you have kids already. Now, if you're in my age group and you have no kids, I would say that is the only direct target that should want kids. And it would make sense. Not judging again. If you want to continue to have kids throughout decades of your life, as long as you're healthy and you can, I'm not judging that. I'm just saying, I know more people get to a point where, yeah, that's it. Especially if they already had. No matter how many they had. Some good with one and done. Some have a couple and go, maybe they're not looking at the numbers. They're looking at their age again. They're looking at experience. They're looking at both. They're looking where their life is, what they want to do. You know what I mean? Because kids is no joke. So even the ones who never want kids, I don't judge them either. That toughly, I still feel we were put here to procreate. I'm just saying, everybody don't beat to the same drum. But you can determine once you've done that, when you're done with that, you know. You contributed to society. You're like, I have my one, and that's cool. But I let you ponder on what determines your cutoff. What does? Most likely you're going to tell me age and experience. You know what I mean? Some people had smooth sailings with it. You know, some raised kids. The kids were pretty decent. You know, kids going to try you sometimes. But like if you had a pretty much winning story with the raising of your kids, it may just come down to age. Like, yo, my kids are good. Like they weren't too bad, too out of control. So the experience doesn't make me not want to have no more kids, but my age does. Some, you know, the experiences wise, not even about age, sorry to say, but that should be less told than the winning story. Like, you shouldn't have a losing story with raising kids. I know sometimes it could get real tough, your circumstances, your finances. You can have some tough stories behind it, but it still should be a celebration. As long as that kid is healthy, grows to an adult, and is able to take care of themselves in some type of way, it still should sound like a winning story, even if for some it's been tougher than others. No judgment here. Raise them kids through thick and thin, rough, easy, however it went for you. That is your job once you brought them here. And it should be a success story at the end. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it has to be successful till the end. No pain you go through, mentally or physically, is worse than death. That's a very touchy subject. I really got that in there for the people who feel like they're at their breaking point, for people who might have experienced thoughts of suicide. Seriously, all jokes aside, hold on. I know you don't feel like you got the help. I know you feel like you don't have the support. I know it gets tough. I know you're tired of it being tough. I know you're tired of not seeing the light. I know you're tired of it not looking like it's going anywhere else than where you're at. But you gotta hold on, because life is tricky like that. I mean, I don't know how you were raised, and I'm not judging how you was raised and how you came up, but the purpose of this life, you only get one. So you really got to analyze it from that perspective alone. You only get one, and as tough as it gets or whatever pops off, this is it though. You know what I mean? Do you really understand that once you're gone, that's it? So if that alone doesn't make you step back and take a breather and take a breath, even as I talk about it, I have to take a breath too, because it's such a touchy topic. And, you know, I think I've encountered people in life that felt that they was at their breaking point. Nobody's perfect. Nobody figures life like that. You know what I mean? I never had those thoughts, but I have come close to breaking points of like really losing my mind, but not, and that's not to brag and say you look less than me because you have had suicidal thoughts. I think when Biggie made that song, he touched a lot of people with that, because that, a lot of people can relate to that. So that was just placed there for you to hold on. My brothers, my sisters, whoever's hearing this, no matter how rough it get, hold on. Trust me, your presence here is important. I don't know what that importance is. I don't know what you are here to do great for this nation of ours, but you have some investment. And I'm not putting an age on this. Of course, it would be sad the younger they are, not to minus the older you get. But hold on, because everything has a reason. You may not like the reason. You may not understand the reason. And it's work you put in, and it's the stuff that you do. And you may feel like you're doing it all, and yet you're still not seeing a breakthrough. But you just got to keep going. It's easier said than done. There's no way I'm sitting here and acting like that shit is nothing, or you just going to wake up tomorrow and everything's great, or you snap a finger and it's great. But hold on. Seriously. Anybody going through something that's real tough, real hard to deal, you know, it throws your mood off. You haven't smiled or laughed in a while. You haven't had it easy in a minute. Hold on. I'm carrying some of that pain for you. As I talk about it, I feel it in me. I'm about to rush out of this subject because I'm taking it on. Because I know that there's somebody listening that's going through some shit. That's like, yo, can't take no more. I've been there. And that's why even as I tell you to hold on, I remember having to tell myself, hold on. You gonna make it. You great. They can't stop you. It's their loss. What's the first thing? They don't feel worthy. Respect the dead. They was just haters. They can't do what you do. Your energy too much for them. Your will to survive is stronger than theirs. All of that is intimidating. So people are not gonna, you know, be super supportive when the power is that strong. Sorry to say, less cases because they just you just too. Know what I mean? Hold on though. Hope that was some words of encouragement for you. I hope that made a difference. Maybe you got to rewind a little bit and listen again. But hold on. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. There's nobody. I don't care how polished they make it. I don't care how they walk around and act unfazed. They walk around and you know they got their bitty bop. Everybody had a close to breaking point. Everybody's had it rough at some point. They might mask it. They may tuck it. They may act like pretend like it never happened, but it's happened. And we all go through shit. So just hold on. I'm done with that. Is there such a thing as too picky? Absolutely. Now I won't judge a person that's too picky if I get some of the reasons why, and it could be some tragic stories. It could be a lot of bad stories, like no real, and you know, people play victim. So just because they telling you that, don't make it that, because there's always three sides to a story. But if it comes from more of a overprotective of themselves, scary, you know, peace and safety. If it organically comes from that place and that's why they're picky, I'm gonna give a slight pass. But the picky that comes from entitled and privilege, I'm not giving a pass. So I'm gonna say people. I don't have to always pick on the ladies. Plus, I'm about to get at y'all on the next one. Not next episode, next topic. Privilege, entitled, you know, because you just exist, you expect like this praise and listen, self-respect is big, and how you carry yourself and how you respect yourself, that energy will scream volumes, and whoever approaches you, tries to interact with you, can see that, and hopefully they're matching that and can bring that, and you could get what you deserve that organic way. But this just off the rip, no real dialogue, no getting to know you. You just feel because oh, I deserve this. You know, they got to do this. They got to match this. You know, I got to be taken here. I got to be kept, groomed. All that shit right there. Nah, I don't know. You know, that's the younger folk. And that's what's tricky. You know, I'll go a little off subject real quick. You know, the men, now I'm going to talk men. The more older we get, you know, careful what you want, because I know some guys that want to go the younger route, right? You better know what you built for, because a lot of that is coming from that pickiness and entitled and privilege. Now, it's sad when they're older. Now I'm going to expose a little bit. Ladies, I know you provided for yourself. Hopefully by the time you get to 40 plus, that you provide for yourself, you pay your own bills, of course. You know, that's if you ain't, you know, you're not in a relationship, of course. And you doing the damn thing, right? You have to hold it down and hold it together. Kids or no kids, right? But it's still gonna look a little crazy, you being 40 plus and feeling entitled. Just off rip. You know, you meet someone, you have conversations, and then as the conversations happen more, you can talk on what you expect and what you see, what your vision is, right? But off the rip, when you 40 plus, you look crazier. Now, these 20 and 30-year-olds, back to the fellas about wanting the younger, you could almost guarantee the pickiness is out of line. It's out of line, diabolical, catastrophic. So just know. So yeah, there is such thing as being too picky. I charge it to the ones who, again, I more understand if you just really had a tough time in relationships and your dealings. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you a little leeway. But the ones who are privileged, get that shit out of here. All right? Your man can't fulfill what your father didn't do, ladies. Preach. Fellas, you gotta, I know, you really, we don't do this. You know what I mean? We like them. We want to save them. We want to like look at it like there's no impossible task here. The more we think we like them, right? But this thing about them and a father's relationship, I can't stress it. I had to say it. It's so important. And the sad part is, fathers, I'm not saying that we condoning half-ass behavior, half-ass raisings. But you know what? Some of that half-ass, and you just not built, and you just not a good father, your presence is still going to matter more than not being there at all, depending on how toxic you are. So I'm not in those minds, so I can't fathom. I can't see a father having a daughter, and even if he ain't shit, like he gotta pull up in some type of way and do something just so this beautiful young lady that's been brought in the world can grow up with some type of structure. Like even on your off day, like I'm gonna take that because I'm giving it a chance that I'd rather a daughter have some type of father, half-ass, whatever, versus none. Because that no father figure at all, when that is gonna be a small percentage. If you take 10 women that grow up with no father, and I'm just making these numbers up as I go, 10 women that grow up with no father at all, 2 of them might be wifey material. Maybe. And you know what? It's not me bashing them. It's sad because they deserve to grow up and find someone if that's what they want. But it's just not in their favor. If that father is, I can repeat this 50 times. Now take 10 women who had a half-ass father. Like, you know, he was there. He didn't do king shit that he should have. Excuse me. But he was there. He was around. They have memories to report that there was some interaction with a father. Take 10 of those women. Maybe 5 of them is wifey material. 6. I still say presence is still better than none. Now, the world's so crazy, you could take 10 women who had their father all the way, and still only 2 to 4 of them are wifey material. But so what? There's nothing guaranteed, but I would rather some type of father figure for some of, if not all of their growing up, versus none at all. It's just hands down stuff. Your first love is the opposite of you. So daughters need their father, that's their first love, and sons need their mother, that's their first love. I'm giving you a moment to retain that. That's what it is. That's what it is. So ladies, your man can't fill that void. If he love you, he's into you enough, he gonna try. He gonna try. Ooh, he may put up LeBron numbers. He may do a damn good job at trying, but it still ain't gonna. It can't fill a void. It can't. And unless women, y'all do the work yourselves and recover yourselves alongside that man attempting, you can make a miracle story out of this. But it's not in favor of. It's just not. So I'll leave you with it one more time. Your man can't fulfill what your father didn't do. Next and last, closing out. Don't confuse looks with having their shit together. Y'all could check me, make sure you hit the notification bell, like, comment, share, subscribe. Some of these things are getting too repetitive now. I gotta be honest, and I shouldn't be just letting it rock. I do go over it, but sometimes I just let it rock. It's like a tantrum coming up. I feel a tantrum coming on. Fellas, we may have to do the Stevie Wonder, man. Like, no disrespect to anybody blind. And I know people could crack jokes or talk about it like it's nothing. You really have to be grateful for everything you have. Don't take nothing for granted. So something like sight and hearing and all of that, we could lose. So I'm not joking on it in no way. What I'm saying is stop letting the looks get you, guys. You gotta find a way to kind of look through. This sounds tough. Ladies, you don't like this. You gotta look through them. You see the beauty. Listen, I can never tell you how to really be. You want beautiful, you want baddie, you gotta learn how to look through. Look through that shit. You know, women and men is kind of like picking fruit. Just because it look good, you could pick up an orange, an avocado, a cucumber, whatever. What is it supposed to feel like? What is it supposed to feel like? It's not about what it looked like, right? You don't just pick the fruit, right? Do you just pick up a fruit and throw it in the bag? You squeeze it, right? Strong, it's probably a hard comparison for you to really grasp what I said with that. Did you really get that? But the point is, you gotta look through. Take a minute. Analyze stuff. You see, if you don't look through and you just look at whatever bullshit is going on or bogus shit they're trying to cover up or not show you, you ain't seeing that because all you're doing is looking straight on. Now, there's never an all case thing. So it's not like I'm saying the looks and having this shit together can't be true. Where's that at though? The same way they say men get to their prime later, right? They get shit established and the older they get. Sometimes women take that too. So, especially if a woman is supposed to be provided for. Now, if she gets that off rip in her 20s and it don't last, it's definitely going to take her time because she came from having it already. Someone took care of her. It didn't work. Now she got to get it on her own. So that might take her a minute and she could look great. So that's not a negative. You can deal with that possibly because she came from being in a situation. They handled their business and it didn't work. And now she got to go get it. I'm not judging that woman. I'm talking about from the beginning and no ambition. Like somebody's going to take care of her and that's the way she feels. And it's cool. You know, the game's the game. She could get away with getting taken care of for 40 years and not sweat once, not do a hard-earned day of work once, or just finagle their way through, bullshit their way through the little job they do have, pretty privilege, and you know, whatever their game is. I'm just telling the fellas, don't give yourself this task. Don't give yourself this task. I know you tough. I know it's like, yo, voice of reason, man. I can handle it, man. I know the game. Red pill, blue pill, purple pill. I know the game. They ain't gonna get me. You know what I mean? I can handle it. If it get too, you know, I just have fun for a few, and then that's it. Have my fun. No, nothing lasts forever. You know, this is, you know, a lot of the guys I know because they don't want to listen to voice of reason. They like, listen. I'm thinking with my eyes and the other head. Pause. And that's just it. And you can. But my thing is to try to avoid any excessive stress. Anything you know is too much of a challenge off the rip. We ain't supposed to fight every battle. We ain't supposed to conquer all. I know, man, alpha male, strong, conquer all. Let nothing make you fold. That's bullshit. You gonna see when you get older. I've conquered. I've done my numbers. I've been in this situation. I took care of that. I'm the fucking man. You can hang up the jersey. You think people retire really because sometimes they don't want to. Let's go to sports. Sometimes those retirements are not wanted. Like they just go, you know what? I did my thing. I'm cool with it. Humble pie. Even in masculinity, even in alpha males, there's gotta be humility. And you gotta go, I'm cool, man. I ain't gotta shoot every shot. I ain't gotta make every basket. I don't gotta play till I'm 60. I'm hanging it up. For real. And you'll be like, you know what? It's a lot more peaceful that way. Feel me? So take that for how you take that. But y'all gonna do what y'all do. I know. So I hope this was helpful to you, whichever part of it was. And that's my goal. As long as something here helps you, something here gets you through, something here makes you rewind, I'm grateful for all of that. And so to the next time, I appreciate you. And you know my 3 words: stay pushing, stay progressive, and stay positive. Peace.